welcome to another video from ES for Business and Life. Today we're going to be covering a few things such as Unit 4 called Great Ideas. Don't forget that this is from your book Market Leader and you pre-intermediate student. In this video we're going to be covering the grammar. Let's begin. Alright, and today's lesson will be about the simple past. So, for example, we signed a very good contract last week. Also, the past continuous. For example, we were discussing a very important point when we were interrupted. We will see the difference when to say just the simple past and when to express something in progress in the past as well. Okay, now here come the big differences. Don't forget that the simple past is a completed action, obviously in the past, whereas past continuous is an action in progress in the past. If we let me finish and I'll give you a visual explanation. Showing an action that was interrupted or happening simultaneously with another. I will go into detail on this later on. But pretty simple. Let me see if I put it over here. Yeah, no. Now with the simple past, you have a line. I'll write two lines. One for the simple past, which would be this one. And something happened at this point. And it's a complete action. Now with the past continuous, the second line or arrow, we're showing progress of an action when it started and it finished. Let's move on and continue with simple past. Now this is something that we already saw in class, the simple past, but I'm just going to go over it very quickly. We're using the affirmative form. We're going to use the verb in past, and we say we signed the contract. If the sentence is negative, we're going to say we didn't sign the contract. This time around, the verb is in the simple form. Why? Because we have presence of the auxiliary didn't. Every time you see the auxiliary didn't, your verb will be in the simple form, not in the past. Same happens with the questions. For example, did we sign the contract? Notice that the verb is in simple form, as well as what did we sign with them? As long as the auxiliary did or didn't is present, we will always have a verb in simple form. Don't forget this, it is quite important. Only in affirmative do you use the verb in past. Only, don't forget that. I'm sorry to repeat it many times, but this is something we make a lot of mistakes with. Let's give more examples. Example number 1, we agreed to install security cameras in all facilities. Example number 2, why didn't complete... Oh, I'm missing something here. Let's correct it. So it says, why didn't you complete the registration progress? Oh my gosh, I'm making a lot of mistakes today. Let me go back a little bit. You didn't complete the registration process, and that's why you had to log in as a visitor. Example number 3. Why did you take that position at Eaton? I took it because they offered great benefits. Now I'm going to do some labeling here so that it's very clear. Number 1 is an affirmative sentence. Number 2 is a negative sentence. And number 3 is a question with its answer. Notice that we in all of them we have a subject, We, you, and you in the third one. Let's talk about the verb now. In the first one, it's affirmative, so we have a verb in past. Let's know verb in past. In the second one, we have the presence of didn't, so the verb is in simple form, complete. And also in number 3, why did you take? Verb in simple form. And this is all because we have the presence of auxiliary didn't and did. Yeah. One more time, and sorry to remember you this so many times, to remind you of this so many times. Verb in past only in the affirmative form. Alright, now let's move on to past continuous. Don't forget that past continuous expresses an action in progress in the past. Imagine this is now. This point right here is now, and we're talking about the process or the progress of that action. Let's look at these 4 examples, but we have different forms. We have affirmative, we have negative, and we have questions. I proceed to read. We were having lunch with the boss at 4 p.m. Negative. We weren't having lunch with the boss at 4 p.m. Question. Were we having lunch at 4? Another question. What were you doing at 4? Alright, so once again, we notice that we have subjects. We have we again, and you in the fourth one. Now, it's very important that with past continuous, you use the verb to be. And in all the forms, it's present in affirmative, in negative, and also here we have it. It's verb to be and verb to be. Don't forget that the verb to be can have different forms. It can be, if it's in present, it's is, are, or am. If it's in the past, we have was and were. Check previous videos if you have more questions about this. Now, every time we refer to continuous tenses, we will always have a verb plus ing. Having, and doing. Ing verb, ing verb, ing verb, ing verb. That's why it's called continuous, because we're talking about progress, something in progress. Alright, don't forget that the rest of the sentence is taken as a complement. Now I'll show you more examples of this. We have the example, Carla was talking to Alfredo about the new rice. Negative, I wasn't paying much attention at the meeting. Question, was it raining during the presentation? Once again, we always have the verb plus ing, verb plus ing, verb plus ing. Let me clarify that. Verb plus ing, verb plus ing. We always have a subject, Carla, I, and it. Subject, subject, subject. And also, we always have the verb to be. Well, I'm going to use it as an auxiliary, but because it is also an auxiliary, in this case negative, because it wasn't. And again, the auxiliary. Once again, don't forget that the rest of the sentence is your complement. Okay, now when we talk about past continuous, there are 2 expressions that is very important you remember, know, identify. We have while and we have when. Please make notes that when shows interruption or the beginning of an action. Then again, we're talking about the past. Now, while, the expression while, shows 2 actions happening at the same time. 2 parallel actions happening at the same time. It doesn't mean that they will finish at the same time, but we relate to a certain part of the action where both were simultaneously happening. if we drew I drew a line here to show you. For example, we have example number 1. I was typing the report when the boss called me. Example number 2. We were having an argument when Carlos stopped us. Now let's use the first example. And after when, you can see we have the simple past. Simple past. Yes. So this is now. Imagine this is now. And we have this action, typing the report. Let's say that it took us an hour from 5 to 6 p.m. So during this time, I was typing the report. But at some point during the report typing process, this person, the boss, gave me a call. Yes? So here there's an interruption. I was typing the report when boom, the boss called. Now once again, we can call it an interruption or just the beginning of another action. Now, when we want to use while, we're talking about two actions happening at the same time. We have, I was working on the computer while he was sending emails. So we have two actions, working on the computer and sending emails. Example number 2, they were making sales calls while she was preparing the presentation. Both actions are making sales calls and preparing the presentation. Now I drew the line again. Let's hope it's good enough. Once again, we have something happening. This is let's focus on this exercise, the first one. So here we have working on the computer, and at the same time we have sending emails. Yes. So we're indicating here that these two actions, working on the computer and sending emails, were happening at the same time. They were in progress. Oh, well, I wrote a line, not necessary there. Well, thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, you can always refer to your teacher, because sometimes the difference between while and when is not very clear, but you can always have some extra practice with your teacher, both speaking and writing. One tip, the tip for this video is watch your favorite movies with subtitles in English. Why your favorite movies? Well, normally when we watch a good movie or a movie that we already saw or a movie that we like a lot, we know the ending, we know the plot, etc., etc. So if we watch it in English with subtitles in English, that will give us an advantage. We can learn new phrases, vocabulary, of course, etc., etc. This is a very useful tip that worked for me while I was learning English. Well, see you in Unit 5. Goodbye.